All right, let's talk about how I made the glowy shoulders. Now, I will say the shape for them did not come out 100% how I wanted. I have a lot of difficulty when it comes to shoulders getting that really nice, like bell curved shape. I don't know why that is, because I do all the same things that everyone else does in their tutorials and their videos, and my cosplays just say no, and it's annoying. But I still really like the shoulders that I created, as well as the cool, really like little glowy effect. So here is how I did all of that, and I hope it helps you if you want to make your own Ysera cosplay at some point. To create the shoulders, I started by sketching out my rough idea of how I wanted them to work. Since this was somewhat a unique shape, I wanted to make sure that my pattern would work for what I had envisioned. I then used one of the Kamui cosplay shoulder patterns that I heavily modified to create this. From there, I assembled the pieces using 5mm foam and then proceeded to start working on the details, which I created using 10mm foam. Where I sat there with basically just a Dremel and carved wood grain all across the entire thing, front and back. I wanted to make sure that even if you were on the back side of the shoulders, you could still see the wood grain texture. I started adding in the details of the moon and the paws, using 2mm foam for the paw details, and then going back over it with a Dremel to create the weathered and worn look that's very popular for WoW. Using additional pieces of 5mm foam, I built up the back part of it to have a little bit more thickness, as well as added that bottom part of the shoulder that looks like there's like an extra shoulder coming out underneath it. The orbs for the shoulders are made using plastic split apart Christmas ornaments that are entirely clear. I used a heat knife to drill 2 holes into them and spray painted the inside in order to give it an opaque look. To create the iconic tree shape that comes out of Ysera's shoulders, I used a very basic gauge wire to create the frame for it, and then used this really cheap off-brand Warbler that I found at my local hobby shop that I wrapped completely around to create stability. And then on the bottom side of it, I made a plug essentially that couldn't make it go through the hole, and I used hot glue to just make that sit down really, really well. Once the Warbler had set, and once the hot glue had set, and I made sure everything was really secure, I went back over and used foam clay to create the actual tree-like details. The orb was connected via a piece of fishing line through the 2 holes that were bored into it with the heat knife, through the Warbler itself so it was secure in it, but I made sure to do it in such a way where the fishing line went through both sides of the Christmas ornament, so if something were to happen and it were to fall apart, both pieces would still be there and be intact, but also this way I could easily open it to put in the lights. I then took a Dremel and proceeded to add a little bit more details around the edges of the shoulders to give them even more of a weathered look, as well as a little bit of detail on the tree portion that I created out of the foam clay. Unfortunately, I forgot to film this because I just got into a mode where I painted like everything all at once, but I just used a really dark brown paint, and then I had like a lighter brown paint that I used for the tree portion, and I just painted everything that with like the silver for the details, and then I just went back over everything with a black wash to really make all of those grooves and the cuts and everything like really, really stand out, and I think it worked perfectly to make this look really weathered. I sealed everything with an acrylic sealer and then went over the entire thing with a bunch of fake leaves that I had. You just hot glue them straight on and they look perfect. My goal with the shoulder was to have my cape attached directly to it. So underneath one of the paws on each side of the shoulder is a piece of Velcro that's hot glued on, and that is what my cape attaches to. It makes it really easy to take it on and off while also hiding any kind of attachment. The shoulders themselves are attached directly to the collar with a leather loop underneath to hold them onto my arm in a specific location, but they connect with a backpack clip to the collar itself. It makes them really easy to take on and off. From there, I unwrapped my design, stuffed a little stick of fairy lights into it, and bam! I have my glowing shoulders. Thanks so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions at all, leave them down below in the comments. If you're interested in seeing how I made the rest of Draconic Ysera, the video will be linked below as well as in the cards wherever the little thingy is. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all next time.